Hey, what's up, people? Dreams and Day Jobs. This is episode 29. I'm one of your hosts, Travis, with my guy right here.
You already know. I'm Jeff, co-host, Dreams and Day Jobs podcast, episode 29.
Come on.
We weren't able to get up last week because of the snow.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're back at it. Can't let it happen. Can't let it happen again, you know?
We got stuff in the archives, though, you know, so we're fine with that. So, yo, if you guys clicked on this video, you see that we're going to be talking about life in your mid-30s. Mid-30s, so, you know, we're accepting that. Completely fine with that. Embracing that. What's it feel like, bro? That's the last bro I'm saying.
All right, bro.
I'm telling you.
I know we talked briefly before. I never really, dude, honestly, like you were saying earlier, how like, you know, some people like think about like, oh, 30 and people are like, oh, like it's, I don't really think like that. I've never really thought like that.
Really?
I can't remember ever thinking like that. Like, oh, it's 30, like I got to be doing this. I kind of just like, I don't know. I definitely have like grown and my mindset has changed and shifted, and certain things certain things I prioritize over others. But I never like have been like, oh, I'm turning 30, I got to do this, or I'm 35, I got to do this.
Never felt like that.
Not really.
Never had like
not based on like
not based on a number.
Like,
okay.
You know what I mean? So
Jeff's gonna be he's gonna be useless for us for this podcast.
No, I'm just being honest. Like I don't know that. I don't know. I've never been driven, but I definitely have had thoughts of like, okay, like I gotta do this. I gotta get going on this, but not, you know, I've never felt like, oh, I'm turning 30, or like I don't have it figured out. Like, oh shit. Like I've never like felt like that. Let me ask you this: have you felt in a sense where, based on your age, you wanted to be somewhere else in life? You know, like I'm this age, I really want to be here, and the fact that I'm not right now, is causing me like that anxiety. I have felt like that, but not. I never really. It's never been like directly correlated with like the number of like at this age I gotta do this. What was it correlated with? I guess you could say time and age, but I never really looked at it like that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I get it. So like you weren't so conscious about the age you were, but in the sense of accomplishments or like feeling like you should be somewhere. It's like, it's hard to say it without it being age in a sense, but I get what you're saying, where you weren't focused on, I'm 30 now and I'm not doing this. It was more like, I'm 30 and I'm not doing this. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I get that. So it's kind of correlated to age in a sense, but you're not focused more on the actual age itself. You're more focused on the period of time and how much it has been. I guess that's kind of very similar. It is, but I get what you're saying. I never was like literally like, oh. Yeah. Like I could recall like, and it'd be funny if I post this clip and she sees it because she'll know who I'm talking. She'll know. I feel like I used to date a girl years ago that was like very, and I think it's a little bit different for girls and guys, but like I remember her being like, I'm 23, like I need to get going on this, and this. Like by this age, I want this, and this. By this age, I want this, and this. Yeah. And I can remember being like, yo, dude, like I can remember being like, that's cool, I respect that, but like that ain't me. Like, you know what I mean? That's not like I was like, I'm not on that type of. I don't have a timeline of how things are supposed to go. I guess that's interesting. You could argue, you know, that could go, you know, you could argue that urgency could be beneficial, or it could not, or it could stress you the hell out. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's a good point right there. But what about you? No, that's a good point. Yeah. Oh yeah, man, definitely. I had it. Yeah, bad. You said that before. Like I've by had 30, it bad, right? From 25 to 30. I had it bad. Yeah. Yeah, I would say definitely I had it bad. Even to 29. Dude, I just did not want to be,
I think a lot of it definitely correlated to money, man. Like it had a lot to do with money, which, you know, if money is your ultimate goal, it's not like, in my opinion, it's not a bad thing, but it's got to be more than money. You know, money is you're receiving money for something you did or something you gave, some form, you're receiving it. So you have to, that thing that gets you the money is that thing. So I was focusing on that thing and then not receiving the money by a certain age would bother me. And then when I hit that age, it's kind of like, well, you'd be foolish to worry about it because you're already 30. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I'm not worried about it, but I'm thinking about it. And now I'm 30. All right. Like I'm here.
When you weren't 30, what was something that you were like, damn, like by 30 I need to be doing this, or damn, I'm 30 and I'm not doing it? What did you feel like that was? Like you just didn't have enough money?
Yeah, no, I mean like I was making money, you know, I was doing the landscaping, but I wanted to be, I don't know, I think I wanted to be wealthy, you know? I really wanted to be wealthy from doing music, from doing YouTube. I didn't even have any of this other stuff that I'm doing in mind at the time. So, you know, I didn't even have like a family, a wife, a baby, a home, you know, a profession, multiple, you know, I didn't think grand. I thought so singular. And I'm not saying people think like that, but I think more of the why we kind of thought of the topic is like, you don't have to be so worried about the age and accomplishing. You really need to focus on, you know, what's going to be that thing for you, and experiment and get yourself exposed and get rolling with it instead of wasting time and being anxious about where you're not. Just work on what you can do in the moment right now that's going to put you somewhere in a better place. Honestly, what I wish I would have focused more on were the fundamentals of things. Instead of such grand schemes and plans and trying to do it, I wish I would have been like, practice the piano more. Just make a beat what you can. Post a video, post a film anything, fly the drone more, do more of that stuff, work out all the time, which I was doing, but like just do the basics, which all ultimately you'll be creating more better songs. You'll be playing more chords. You'll be bigger, stronger, faster, whatever you choose to train on. You'll be more educated on film and angles and things by just focusing on the fundamentals and the basics instead of worrying about why you're not there. And the time that you spend worrying, you're not taking action.
So with that being said, give me one thing that you personally in your 30s mentally, like what's one mindset shift that you have now looking back that you can be like, okay, when I was younger, I thought this way or felt this way about and then now being 30s looking back, I feel this way. Like, can you give me one example? Like I can give you one.
Yeah.
But like, can you give me one? Like,
yeah, I would think,
your mindset
women,
shifts, like,
you know, your dating life in a sense, ultimately compared to your family life. You know, I really didn't think about that until all of a sudden, you know, I was going out so much and I just got tired of it. And I was like, tired of talking to certain people, tired of going out, and I want to have that family. I want to like start. I actually said it because when I prayed for my wife, in my prayer, I said to God, I want to have someone that I could do life with. And to me, do life was not going out and doing the stuff I was doing. It was having a family, getting a house, you know, working towards supporting your family and building generational wealth, and then elevating yourself on the passions, the music, the film, and then now it's the real estate and the landscaping business, you know, working as hard as I can to, you know, to perfect it and do it well. And you know what I'm saying? So like that mindset would have, I guess it would have just been more, it's a hard question. It would have been more like it's a shift of, it's almost like a 180, man. Like the stuff that I really cared about, I still cared about, but the way I went about it was different. Because that time limit, that feeling of like, oh, I'm not 30 now. I'm 28 now and I'm not where I want to be. All of a sudden I was 30 and I didn't feel like I had that same feeling, except I realized, why would I worry about it? Let's just work on the fundamentals to make it happen.
Yeah. So
I waste a lot of time.
To tie that, okay, so in a sense, could you say, and this is kind of what I was going to say, like I think that with what you just said,
Yeah.
like maybe a mindset shift that you and I both have now in our 30s compared to when we weren't, is that like you say, okay, like when I was in my 20s, by 30 I wanted to be wealthy from A, B, and C, but like now as we get older and we're in our 30s now, we could look back and say, well, damn, like how could we even have expected to have that when like we haven't even put in the work for it.
True.
So
Yeah.
like that's a mindset now that I have in my 30s, but like, all right, like, well, how could you expect this when you haven't done all this that you need to do to you know what I mean? So it's like,
so that self accountability
yeah.
really snapped in when you hit that age target or area in life that you feel like you're getting complacent and you're not moving up. That accountability kicked in where it's like, yo, listen, this is all on you. So if you want to do it and you expect these big things, well, then realize that big things come with, you know, a bunch of daily tasks that happen all the time and long-term goals and target and track it. It's crazy, man. Like it was so much more in depth. It was like.
And I think the age thing too is also kind of subjective, man. Like, you know, there's people our age that are in our 30s and I would argue miserable, dude. Like the majority of the time, you know what I mean? Like, so in that, you know, if you are somebody that does compare yourself to like others, or like, all right, like I maybe at this age I should have this, I should be making this, I should be driving this, I should be dating this person, I should be da da da. If you kind of just like try to self-analyze, and I was talking with my dad about this today, I was like,
love it.
If you could,
by the way, his dad's real cool.
If you could, thank you. If you could, like, all right. I had mentioned to him, we were having a conversation, and I ended up bringing up, dude, like for me personally, no matter what, dude, like I could like be stressed about like not having enough money. I could be stressed about whatever. But like for me, honestly, like for me to really be like 80% like okay and everything's cool, like as long as I'm able to, like, for me personally, as long as I'm able to like have my meals and stay on track with my food and get in a good workout at the gym, like to me everything is like, that's, as long as I'm able to do that, that keeps me in that like flow state to where like I'm not really tripping about anything else. You know, I do those because things. As long as I have these, and I think everybody has that thing.
Yeah, I think so.
And even if they don't realize what it is, I think that everybody, if you're lucky, has that thing where like they lock into every day, or something that they can do, like weight training or like combat sports or like whatever, like reading, these things that can like keep you in that like, okay, like this might be a stress over here and this stress over here and this money might be low here, and you know, I don't really know my plan for whatever, you know what I mean? This girl's not texting me back. I can't, whatever, you know, I just, whatever, any outside stress. For me, at least, as long as I'm like able to just like stay healthy, work out, train, eat good food, that keeps me going. So like it allows me to like, even like, so you know what I'm trying to say? So like even so, like, at 36,
when you hit those things, what does it make you feel? When you get those things done, the workout, the eating good, the staying on track with the plan, and when you go hit those obstacles, what is it? How do you approach them?
I just know, well, I mean, in terms of just like, I just know that like, I gotta get it in. Like, I gotta, I gotta work out. I gotta train. I gotta have my meals with me. I gotta eat. I gotta sleep. I gotta drink. You know what I mean? Because for me, that allows me to, like, I'm not tripping about like, you know, okay, I'm 36 and, you know, I'm not married with kids. And like, I don't, not that I trip about, or like money, I'm not making this, but I'm not really able to trip about stuff like that because I know what keeps me in that flow state. So as long as I just keep doing that, like, and more or less I'm cool. So like, I guess the point is, what I'm trying to say is that like, no matter what age we are, I think that as long as we have that like go-to, like thing that like keeps us
System.
just, yeah, like whatever, you know, I don't know.
like that
Does that make
because,
sense?
yeah, it makes perfect sense. You're bringing up the point of fundamentals. You know,
Exactly.
you're hitting those fundamentals and you're able to grow because of them.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like those fundamentals are what build the thing. Like, you know, for your high ticket training, the eating good, the sleeping, the drinking the water, the working out, that's going to make you the best trainer you could possibly think because you're putting yourself through it.
Yeah.
What better person to teach you is somebody who's been through it, does it, has knowledge on it, does it to this day. Still, like that's what's going to make you it. The rest is just like the seasoning, you know, the marketing and stuff we're talking about. That's like Jeff and I were talking about before, how you get to a point where you hit like, 7 out of 10 in everything that you're doing in life. And you want to give that extra 30% that's going to put you to the 100. And we were saying these fundamentals, I believe, will build you to that 70%. But then after you get to that point where you're so accurate with it and you've got this fundamental stack that you're doing every day, now it's time to put on the seasoning of those other things that will really manifest it. And then, and ultimately then that becomes new fundamentals. And then you hit another 70%, you know, because you never really get to 100. You get to like the goal and then you're back at 0, you know?
But in terms of like the age thing, like in my, like I still feel, I feel good. I don't feel like, I just don't, dude. I don't feel stressed out about like, I think if we do it right, like our 40s could probably be our best decade. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
no doubt. That's the plan. Yeah, mid 30s is not something that time, I feel, believes it goes so much faster. So if you're in your 20s and you're worried about being 25, I'm telling you, I would just really hone into something that you love. And especially now, you have the opportunity to create anything and create a business out of it with the tools you have, with social media, with online business. Like, you could have like the lamest hobby and find a following who loves it and create a business around it. There's never been a time like that. You know, I always think about like knitting, you know, like even back in the day, which is so funny. They used to have knitting clubs, you know, like old ladies will go make scarves and stuff, you know, it makes sense. And now it just goes to show you like, well, who would spend their time doing that? And it's intricate. I got some family friends who done it, made blankets for Morgan. Beautiful job, like insane. Like, how do you even imagine to, you know, it's not like drawing. I could draw a circle. You got to spend time to make a line, you know.
But it was so many times, you know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
but
like,
it's still just back to like, you know, just hone in on something and create something out of it instead of worrying about, you know, take the time because you got the time to think about what you really want to do. Spend the time thinking. And even when you get to your 30s, you can still think and figure it out. You're never too late. But I like the fact that you said the same thing on, if I do these things, I'm okay, because that's how I feel. If I get my fundamentals done, I'm good. Everything else, I approach the challenge different. Opposed to if I didn't do things and I was slacking off here and there, I have a different approach. Like, I'll still mac at it. I'm still going at it with my best. Yeah. But like when I got those things on my my win list that day, oh man, everything hits better.
And to go back to the age, you also probably were like, oh, when I'm 30, I need, 30 is because like our parents, dude, like I'm 36, dude, at 36, my dad like had our parents, they just way more responsibility, dude. At 36, my dad had me, and then he's like working his ass off just to like pay child support, not, he wasn't like, it's just things were just different. Like, you know what I mean? Man. So it's like at our parents' age, they had a lot more stuff on their plate than we do now. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think they had work ethic like no other, where we have it because we watched our parents. But at the same time, and then the next generation kind of like is a little, it's different. It's definitely fading away past that, but there's still so many hardworking people. But yeah, we wanted to talk about.
I'm not even saying that. I think it's just timeline. Like people still work hard, but it was.
No, but it's a different working hard, because like at that 20, man, my mom had me at 26. You know, my dad was 27. So like, you know, so they're young. People have kids had kids back then at 21. They were out the house at 16, 17 back then.
Yeah.
Now you can't do that because affordability, honestly. Like but back then they were able to do that. They were out the house, you know, like gone, traveling, you know, not even really too much away for college at times. It was more like go get a job. Like I got out the house and, you know, imagine that 16. Oh man, I wasn't doing that.
Is there anything that you're doing now in your 30s that you thought you wouldn't be doing?
Yeah, I mean, having a wife and having a baby for sure. That would, and I'm old. I mean, I'm 30. I'm gonna be 35 this year. Like, how I think of having a child and kids was so different. My parents like, I had you at 26, 28, whatever she was, and I'm like, at 26, 28, I was like, nah, I'm not ready for that. You know, like, you know, and then it happened, and it's like, yeah, like. And trust me, I still have my days where I'm like, wow, like it's very different like that, but it's a good different. It's so much more focus in a sense, you know, like there's less distractions. That's one thing I was glad changed, how we talked about the accountability, self-accountability change. I'm like, man, I can't be going out all the time, you know, wasting my time, wasting my money, you know, whether I'm, you know, dating the wrong people. I need to just date the right person, have a family, start my life, and really, with doing all that, focused on everything else that I really want to focus on. Because that stuff was a distraction to what I really needed to be on, you know? I didn't need to do that, so.
It's interesting because for me, like, I'll be like, I want to date people.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I'll see a girl or date a girl, and I'll be like, like, she's cool, but like, let's be real. Like, I'm not going to end up being with this person. So like, why do I even waste my time?
Yeah.
But then I think to myself, I'm really, you know, but then it's like, I still feel deep down, like if I met like the right girl tomorrow, I still would be like, nah, I don't want to settle down.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know,
Yeah.
but then it like contradicts itself because like, I still feel like, no, I don't want to settle down because I'm just not ready for that. But then like, I also don't want to be like, dating the wrong people. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like,
oh yeah. So like you don't want a casual date, but you don't want to settle down. I feel like that's kind of the essence of casual dating.
I feel like I want to casually date until I start to do it, and then I'm kind of just like, I feel like it kind of just takes me off my game. You know what I mean? For it's like that small dopamine hit.
Yeah, I have a mixed review on it, man. Because if I were to tell myself and go back, I'd say, man, get married sooner. Get married sooner. Get the women stuff out your mind. Get all that type of stuff. Let that stuff go.
So funny because we just, like I said, there's things that like you and I are like so like we're so alike on some shit, but there are some things that like we're just like we just disagree. Like
in essence, for sure.
Like you say that, and I'm just like, I just don't think like that. Like like to me, like that would be like the last. Like tomorrow, if someone said like you're getting married, I'd be like, yo. What?
But it'd have to be the right person.
No, I know, but I'm just saying. But you are. Well, it's easy for you to say because you are. You know, you're like one of the.
Yeah.
You're one of like the few people who I can genuinely say like enjoys like
dude,
being
awesome,
married.
Man.
Like
you
it's
gotta
not
marry
like,
the right person, man. Let God set you up. Don't set yourself up. Set yourself up for failure. It's true. I don't know. Like I think you know, going back to, you know, I don't want to get too far off topic because I know I could tend to definitely do that, but your mid-30s, living in your mid-30s is great, guys. You know, I would just say take a breath, slow it down, really focus on who you are, what you want to be. And then when you figure that out, you could take some time to experiment and get yourself around people and situations that you want to be in to practice from and maybe see if you really want to do that. Because ultimately, when you're young at that point, you have the time. When you start getting into your 30s, you really should have more responsibilities because nobody really wants to baby you. You know, your parents get older, they got their own stuff they got to handle. You're way above the age. So, you know, that time in your 20s, you have a lot of time to focus and figure out what you want to do and start implementing those things. And then once you figure it out, you know, you're in your 30s and you're rolling, you know. You know, if I started on my stuff early and really took advantage of that, I'd stop wasting time on thinking about where I should be at that time and wasting time doing other stuff and really focus on an actual family relationship and cut the stuff out. And if I could, I would have done this. It would have set me up. I'd probably gain another 2 years.
But you know what, dude? That's the thing, though. Like, you can't really, like, and everyone's got their timeline. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
looking back, like, you know, it'd be like, okay, like, when people say, like, oh, yeah, I would go back and tell my younger self, but it's like, okay, would your younger self even be opening to listening?
I would make them.
You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like, everybody has, like, their own.
It's true. But that's why
where they realize and they mature and they.
I think you realize you know, your parents could tell you stuff. I'm sure you had your folks say it. Yo, I did it before. Hey, listen, don't do that.
They're
but
the
you
last
do what
person
you want.
You want to listen to.
They're the last person you want to listen to. But there are times you do listen, and stuff did seep in and plant the seed. You know, so that's why it's good. That's why
I know you were. I know you said there was a couple of things your dad said to you that are stuck.
Yeah, my dad, my mom, they all kind of said the same thing. Like, you know, respect people. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass the family. You know, move on from it. You know, get over it. Move on. Yeah, that type of stuff. Those little tiny lessons that you could just apply to so many things. You know? Oh man, yeah. I mean, yeah. Would your old self listen to your mid-30 self now talking to your 25-year-old self? I think you would. If I came back,
hard to say,
if the future me came to me and started talking to me, I would definitely listen, because I'd be looking at him, and if he didn't look like what I wanted to be,
I guess you're right, yeah.
I would be like, yeah, what you got to say? Yeah, I'm definitely gonna follow that. I'm gonna follow that. Yep. He come back looking crazy, all sloppy and something like that, telling me to get right. I'd be like, yeah, future self just visited me last night, told me I need to get right. He looked terrible. I can't do that. I can't be like that.
True.
Or, you know, yeah, but that's an interesting point. But I know a lot of people think about it. I know people worry about, you know, I'm turning 30 and the age and the number. I think life is, you know, chunk it in 30, 60, 90.
People also perceive, like, yo, I mean, think about it, like, think about, like, if a girl, like, you know, girls definitely judge it for sure.
Yeah,
like, the girls will be like, oh, how old are you? And the girls will judge a guy's age in relation to what his life looks like.
Yeah.
In relation to what he's got going on in his life and his age.
Yeah.
And a guy will do the same thing with a girl.
100%. Yeah.
You know?
I'd say that.
Oh, you're this age and you're doing this, this, and this, or you're this age and you don't have this, this, and this. You know?
Because there are standards in our life, you know? There are. And it's getting even tougher in a sense for these younger kids, because they're exposed to so much more, and they see all these young people getting money and living lives that they want to live. But that's a lot fewer than most people think, but you're exposed to it. So now your levels are starting to change. And I think that's kind of a good thing. You know, you could take it how you want. I said it to Morgan today. I said, you know, some people, if they were called, you know, if they were somebody called them dumb, I'm not going to say anything crazy. Say somebody called them dumb, that could send them down the deep end, and they could just cry their eyes out and never get right. Or they could be like, you know what, man, I'm going to educate myself, get myself right, and I'm going to be smart. Like, you're not going to call me dumb, you know. Like, I was listening to Creflo Dollar, and he said he was the first black kid to integrate into white schools in Atlanta, one of the first. And the teacher, they all told him, like, you know, that he was dumb and he wasn't going to learn. He said, man, I made straight A's through that all through school, straight A's. He goes, because you ain't going to tell me I'm dumb. And I was like, man, like, could you imagine? Like, yo, that could have went so many ways. Like, think about it, you got 90% of people back then against you, and you're like, nah, forget it. And it could, you know, so. Yeah,
I think,
man.
I like that, to piggyback off that, like, that's, again, I'm just thinking about, like, being in my 30s, things that have changed as I've gotten older. I was going to say that I definitely, as I've gotten older too, you definitely learn to, like, at least for me, I definitely, like, I don't really let, like, shit bother me too much. Like, I don't let, like, jokes or criticism, or, like, I'm more able to kind of just like stand on like how I believe, like what I believe and like how I feel in front of people, in front of like coworkers or family or people. Like I'm not, I feel more comfortable as I've gotten older to really stand on like how I feel about something or like
That's
just
true.
like, all right, cool. Like, I don't know. Like I could, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, for instance, like people have like broken my balls or given me shit about like the gym or fitness or like dating or like dating younger, like, you know, like dating younger girl, like, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, I'll just be like, dude, like basically I guess you know, not to make it too ran out, which I'm doing.
You're good.
In short, I'm okay to be like, yeah, like I disagree. Like, yeah, I hear you, but like I disagree. Like we don't have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
you're more standing on
yeah,
yours,
like I don't care. Like yeah, like I
Yeah.
disagree like with that.
Definitely.
Like you know what I mean? Like you could, you know what I mean? Whatever. Like you could just like I don't care. That's how I feel. Like
I'm grown, man.
I'm grown. Yeah, like you're not gonna change. You know what I mean? Like for instance, like
I'm
people
35.
people at work, like you know, just whatever. Like
Yeah.
if we're talking about like dating or like dating younger girls and like people crack jokes, whatever. Like oh, like you're 36, this girl's this age, and I'm like, all right, like whatever, dude. Like, and yet, you know what I mean? Is that you guys can hate on me, you crack jokes, but like. Is she choosing me? Like is she like you?
Yeah.
You could say everything, like
Yeah.
you could try to get at me, or like, but or like I still feel this way. It's not gonna, yeah. Like I'm not. What you're saying is not gonna change how I feel. Like I'm not afraid to buckle and you know, like lessen how I feel about something to please other people.
To not,
you know what I'm trying to say?
for what you believe.
Yeah,
in.
like I just don't. You know what I mean? Like
100%. That definitely, I think upped
in my third,
30s.
yeah, definitely. I just don't. I'm not afraid to
Probably
like
at that point.
to be like, yo, I don't care. I hear you, but I still feel how I feel. I disagree.
Yeah, you're more inclined to open your mouth more.
Yeah, or just defend how I feel about something.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
I agree with that. That's for sure. That definitely comes. You know, they all used to say, "With age comes with age comes wisdom." I'm like, yeah, that's for sure, because you've been through more. You see things different at these different timelines of life. You know, I'm sure when you're 40, you're 50, you look at things different. You know, you reflect on the last 10 years, and you see, and you're like, nah, I don't want to do that for these next 10 years. You know, I don't know, man. Yeah,
but
yeah.
I guess, you know.
Yeah, it's a funny topic, guys, because we live in it. So, how's it feel? It feels great, man. Like it feels great. It feels great.
Even with like the pot, yo, like oh, you're doing, yeah, I'm doing a pot. Like I just don't like you're doing a podcast. Yeah, are you posting on? Yeah, like I just don't. I'm just like yeah, dude.
Yes.
Unapologetically, like yes, this is how I feel. Like yeah.
Unapologetically me.
Yeah.
I agree. So true. Stay you, guys. Yeah.
2-9. 29?
2-9.
Cool. All right, man. Next week, episode 30. 30.
Speaking of 30s, guys.
This week would have been 30 if it didn't snow.
True.
But all right.
Yeah.
Close it out. Are we good?
Man. Peace.
All right, man.